In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at our first winter thoughts video. And I know what you guys are thinking. Wow, this is really early to be talking about the winter, but we're only going to be talking about the effects that an El Nino has on winters historically, because we do expect to be in an El Nino, so there's not going to be anything too bold in this video. Obviously, nothing as far as predictions for too many specifics, but we're going to be talking about what the El Nino could mean for the upcoming winter. Now, as you can see in the bottom left corner, this is from trilogymaps.com, which is my next business that I'm starting. I just started it just recently, and I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about it real quickly. I am extremely excited to announce that I have launched my second business called Trilogy Maps. You can check it out at trilogymaps.com in the description and the pinned comment down below. We have gone ahead and created the highest definition and most customizable digital maps you can find anywhere here on the internet at an extremely affordable price as well, might I add. These maps are so customizable due to our very unique layering system that make it possible to basically create whatever map you like. I seriously wish this was around when I first got into weather, because making weather maps that look extremely professional has never been this easy before. So if you want the highest definition, most customizable, and most professional looking weather maps that you can possibly make for a very affordable price, go ahead and check out trilogymaps.com. And we're actually doing a 50% discount until May 1st, so be sure to grab these maps before May 1st because they will be doubling in price by that point. Now let's get into things, and first things first, we're taking a look at what the temperature anomalies could look like in an El Nino typically. Again, we're using our beautiful Trilogy maps today. These are the highest definition maps available, and as you can see, we're able to draw this beautiful illustration on it as well perfectly. We can see that there is warmer conditions typically in an El Nino in the west, or we might have heard me refer to it as a positive PNA here, Pacific North American oscillation. This would extend up into Canada and down into Mexico as well. Warmer conditions overall. Usually there's warmer waters offshore of the west here, and these are obviously upstream from these areas, so these do influence the air temperatures a lot here along the west. And let's take a look at our next layer, because we can see that there's actually some even warmer conditions expected the closer you move towards the coast here. So even warmer here in these red areas there near California, Nevada, Oregon, Washington. All of these areas would typically be a lot warmer in an El Nino than they would in a La Nina. That is especially what we'd be taking a look at here. So definitely positive PNA could be the main talking point throughout a lot of an upcoming winter that would look like this. So we at least expect the next winter to feature an El Nino, and that is what this would look like. Now we can see it, there's basically a huge gap over the central and eastern United States. So you might be wondering, what does it mean for the folks out in the central and eastern United States? Well, here we go. And as you're going to see here, we do actually anticipate cooler than normal conditions here. As these warm temperatures create kind of a bubble here, we're going to see a massive trough develop over the central and eastern United States oftentimes in these types of scenarios. So we have this positive PNA ridge here, so I'm drawing these. And then we can see that this is going to encourage the cold air to really dive into these areas in the east, typically in a more El Nino situation. Typically, this is only true in a weaker to more moderate El Nino. As you get into a stronger El Nino, what would happen is that there would be such a strong force of winds coming off of the Pacific that it would actually drag the warmth all the way towards the east coast and basically be warm from coast to coast. We saw this, and I think it was 2019 to 2020 was the winter that we saw this, the Super El Nino. So that might have been that year, or it might have been the year before. I kind of forget what year that actually was, but I think it was 2019 to 2020 where we experienced that very warm from coast to coast winter due to that very strong El Nino. That is what can happen in stronger El Ninos. Typically, if you're a cold and snow lover in the east, you want a weaker La Nina, neutral ENSO, or a weaker El Nino. So you want to be more towards the middle there. As you work your way towards a stronger La Nina or a stronger El Nino, things become much less favorable typically in the east. Now, as we add another layer here, you're going to see that basically we do expect even colder conditions here across a lot of the more upper Midwest areas and the Ohio Valley here, as that cold is really moving in from the Arctic regions here of Canada. They're moving southward deep into these areas. Again, the jet stream looking something like this, diving towards the east and moving through here. Now, in a minute, what we're going to do is take a look at the precipitation, and we will see that nor'easters are also a very common occurrence here in El Niños, which could mean East Coast snowfall threats are more common in El Niños because we have the cold air plus the storms moving through. So let's go ahead and move on here to those precipitation anomalies now that we've gone through what a typical weaker El Niño would look like as far as temperatures. Here is the precipitation. Now, in a La Nina, what we've seen is a lot of storms moving through the middle of the west and kind of moving up like this. This is the storm track in a La Nina. As you can see, we're not expecting that at all. We're also not expecting a La Nina. We're expecting an El Nino. And typically what this means is storms will move in from the southwest, dive southward, and then move into the Gulf area, and then move offshore of the eastern United States. Now, this can look a little bit different. Obviously, we're going to see each storm move in a little bit differently, but overall, the flow of storm tracks is going to look something like these here. Just a lot of storms like this will be moving through is the most common storm track in these types of scenarios. And actually, we do expect even more above average conditions, so more dramatically and further above average conditions here, especially along the southwest. This is usually when California and the southwest see a lot of precipitation, is when these storms move onshore from the southwest. And look, this is really good news because they had a very wet winter, this previous one. And if we can get back-to-back wet winters, I think that's going to be the best possible scenario for California and their drought situation to really see a deepening of the precipitation and just the overall reduction of that drought that they've been dealing with for so long now. Now, as you can see, we do expect below average precipitation in certain areas as well, of course, and that's mostly going to be here for the northwest and spreading into the north central United States, because basically this storm track like this is going to be greatly reduced. So we're going to put a big X through that because that storm track is going to be greatly reduced. And what we see instead of that is basically the same thing, just a lot further south and eastward here. That is the common storm track in an El Nino. So you can see how they're kind of the opposites here. That's why I've been preaching so much that I expect basically the summer, hurricane season, winter, and next spring to be basically the polar opposite of the last three that we've seen because we've been in a 3-year La Nina. I expect big differences actually. As we move further in, we can see we actually expect further below average precipitation areas as well here. So you could see that areas in the northwest where, again, we typically have these storms moving down, we expect pretty far below average precipitation in these areas, and then also where they would kind of curl up here through the Great Lakes and upper Midwest, we expect below average conditions through these areas as well. Now, what we're going to do is actually take a look at kind of an overall look. I don't want to call it the overall forecast because it's still just talking about El Nino here. This is nothing too bold. This is just the initial look that we're looking for, but more dry across the northwest here, as you can see. More storms across the southwest, that's pretty obvious. Colder across a lot of the northern plains, upper Midwest, Great Lakes, but could be colder and drier, of course. And then much more storminess moving offshore of the East Coast here and threat for nor'easters and East Coast snowstorms, southern sliders. Those types of storm tracks become much more common in these weaker to moderate El Nino situations. So that is what we're going to be watching for this upcoming winter. Obviously, more and more information is going to come in, and by the time it's November, we're going to have so much more to go based off of than just if it's going to be an El Nino or La Nina. But for now, the only thing you can even remotely predict, this many months out is the ENSO, the El Nino or La Nina, because it's such a long-term teleconnection. We can already tell that most likely, like 80+% chance that there's going to be an El Nino this upcoming winter, and that is why I find it appropriate to make this video. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to subscribe as we do upload every single day. We're going to be making many more winter forecasts and winter thoughts along the way this upcoming year. I'm so excited for it. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to also like the video and leave a comment down below. I'll see you guys in the next video.